Hello, this is the Almighty Show, and today I'm going to touch on a subject that has it's been festering in the background. I wasn't going to touch this, but today I'm really kind of conflicted. I'm really kind of conflicted on how I feel about Vlad. I'm really not. I'm not. I never really like to talk about Vlad. If you're not familiar with the guy, he's a Jewish guy, Caucasian, and he's been labeled as a culture vulture. I've always backed this guy. I may not have come out publicly, well, on his podcast and show any support for this guy, but I checked Vlad out. If you really want to see what's out here, what's being projected on our youth, you gotta watch Vlad, because that's as bad as it can get. That's what's out there. So you gotta be conscious of that. That's what's out there. But Vlad shows, well, he's portrayed to show a whole lot of the negative side. But if you really look at his show, he's actually pretty fair. He's pretty fair. I never, got why everyone was so uptight about Vlad TV. It's the hate that created this guy. You did it. All the hate you gave this guy. Dude, he came up off of Rick Ross. You created this. Rick Ross punched this guy, and this guy got a couple million off of it. Yeah, just like that. So really, Rick Ross created this nigga. He came up off that. You just elevated his platform over some niggatry. And every day he reminds you of it. Yeah. As crazy as that may sound. I'm not gonna get too far on that. But when you hear this, you're gonna look at Vlad totally different. You're gonna be like, what the hell is really going on? This thing has been festering with nothing but hate for Vlad TV, like for a very long time. But it came to a head. Look, it's crazy how to hate on this guy. He's no worse than anybody else out here. He's just giving you his perspective. And man, it's crazy. You should be more concerned how many other people think like this guy. But see, I'm not threatened by that. I'm like, oh, okay, this is what they think. This is what they're putting out. Okay. We see what's out here. You see how they doing this. But you got to know what they doing. But look, I can see deeper with that. I can look at both sides of this coin. This is propaganda 101. Look, I saw something play out. In the last 6 months. This is after release of that Grant Cardone series Vlad got going on. Okay? Vlad is about to push out some major information. And right before he does it, you got the biggest outcry of not to watch this guy. Listen, and it was directed at a certain culture. You say the culture. I'm not going to say anything more than that about no race or nothing. It's directed at a culture. He's about to drop it, and right before they drop it, you got the biggest outcry of a culture hit, the biggest one you've seen right before an election. It's freaking lovely. Listen, there is no hate, but I'm just going to give you the information how I'm seeing it. Because really, it was masterfully done. Masterfully. Now, in order for this to be done properly, he had to get help from both sides. Watch how this plays out. You ain't never heard nothing about no major boycott of no Vlad TV. Lord Jamal jumped ship. Remember, Lord Jamal was a staple of that show. He was his ear to the street. They had the guy Godfrey on there. So he was giving this guy a pass. They saw something to make him say, hold up, we jumping ship. Now, I never brought the reason why they jumped ship on this guy. I always thought it was something else. That's what they betrayed, but they jumped ship. They pushed those guys out. They pushed them out. You got a groundswell. You got every black major entertainer saying, look, stop watching Vlad. Stop watching Vlad. Vlad, in the meanwhile, is starting a series on Grant Cardone. They put Grant Cardone. If anybody has been watching Grant Cardone, he has this 100X program. Listen, Grant Cardone figured it out. Grant Cardone figured it out. And he's about to release the information on Vlad TV. When I say figured it out, let me put this in perspective. For any of you hearing this, Grant Cardone just reiterated what has been said for ages, is that there is no middle class. There is none. There is none. They've been pushing this thing like there's lower class, lower middle class, upper middle class. It does not exist. You're either poor or rich. If the money that you're making isn't being invested and you're living off of that, you are rich. Everything you do should be coming off your investments. Everything. So how are you really living? He figured it out. He literally said, if you're making 80 grand or less, you're considered broke. That's where they got you. If you're making, and it doesn't even matter how much you're making, if you're making 300 grand a year, if the money that you're making isn't coming from investments, you are broke. Period. End of discussion. Period. And he broke it down. They got everybody off of Vlad. This culture has, they broke it down. They really broke it down. And look, if you want to see, if you haven't been following this guy, Grant Cardone, oh man, he got it. Oh, he has figured it out. And he makes it look oh so sexy. He gets it. And he's putting the info out there. Listen, this guy got like a couple of billion in real estate floating out there. God knows what the real numbers are. He figured it out and he's giving out the information. There was one point, look, they have a convention. It's called the 10X convention. They were literally charging $25,000 a seat to sit with this guy. Listen to me, $25K. I'm talking Grant Cardone. A year later, he's hitting $1 billion in real estate. He's saying, look, this is how you do it. Free as charge. He was giving it out. Says, look, there's no middle class. These people have figured it out. They figured it out. It's just that simple. You have to invest. You live off your investments. The information is floating out there. They dropped it on Grant Cardone. They dropped the whole blueprint. A particular culture got blacked out on it. There was a boycott as he was giving this out. Now, what I will say, this is what's making me sort of sway on Vlad. For something like this to be done, you had to be involved. You knew what the hell was going on. You're not blind to this. Dude, for what? For what? From what I see, there's enough for everybody. What is the fascination with this particular culture? But look, I figured that out. I'm not going to say what it is on this show today. Oh, I really know. I'm not going to talk about that. But man, no, I can see behind the veil on this. You guys dropped the knowledge on how this thing is going to play out. You dropped the knowledge on how it's going to play out going forward. And you totally pushed out a certain culture. Listen, if I was being totally biased on this, job well done. Job well done. Look, I don't know how many people want to get this to see what was done here, but they pulled it off. After Grant drops this, they're going to pull this thing the hell out. Grant went in on Vlad about how he was chopping up his videos. So they already set the tone that this stuff is going to get pulled. They're going to have this floating out there. And on top of that, Vlad owns everything that goes to that show. He owns it. Truth be told, Vlad's gonna make $1 billion off this because Grant dropped it. Listen, he figured it out. Listen, this guy Grant was charging $25,000 just to sit with him, giving out the knowledge. Look, if you really wanted it, you wanted that. Look, they said, look, the people who even put in, You should see those people there. They were taken care of because they believed in them that much. Yeah, they dropped it. And they kept the whole culture out of it. Look, watch how this plays out. Right after that, Vlad will do something to bring everybody back. But look, if I'm looking at this unbiased, job well done. But those that can see how this played out, man, like it makes you wonder, how deep does this get? No, if any of you guys watch this, look, forget. Let me give you some advice on dealing with Vlad. Don't get your feelings involved. Don't get your feelings involved. See, I think what we're missing on this, the vast majority of the people who watch Vlad are white. They're white. And this is what they're projecting from us. This is what they're showing us. This is how we're being portrayed on there. They love him. They love him. He came up off you guys, off a punch from Rick Ross. From a punch from Rick Ross. If it wasn't for that punch from Rick Ross, we never even would have heard of Vlad. Yeah, so I seen it. So look at this with a different eye before they pulled his Grant Cardone interview. Because Grant Cardone figured it out. He literally said, he doesn't care if you're making $300,000 a year. If your investments aren't working for you, the money that you're making on investments should support you. Not the check. Not the check. You'll consider broke. He figured it out. He broke the whole thing down. Yeah, they did it. And they kept a certain culture right out of this in the midst of a boycott. They're going to pull him out. Look, just to let you know, they dropped Grant Cardone in some town. Now, keep in mind, this guy's a billionaire. Or soon to be. The guy's energy is off the scale. They dropped this guy in a town with $100 and a pickup truck, like a 20-year-old pickup truck, and he couldn't even tell nobody who he was. Just dropped him off with $100. Said, hey, we're going to drop you over town. Let's see how fast you can make $1 million. They gave him $100. He said if he came up short, he would pay them $1 million. Keep this in mind. He's doing this at the onstart, at the beginning of COVID. He went out there, tried to do it, came back home, started it over. And if you're looking at the interview, I haven't watched the show yet, but how they're portraying this is he actually lost. He didn't do it. It was a way, he figured it out, but it wasn't easy as he thought it was going to be. Times have changed. He got hit with a reality check. Look, I maybe or maybe not, I'll do another show on that, but he got a reality check. It's bad. It is really bad. So even this guy in this economy, with everything he knows in his head, starting from the bottom, he didn't even succeed. So if you get a chance, watch this show out. And it's sort of bothering me that I'm a little bit conflicted, because in order for this to happen, Vlad had to know about it. Vlad literally had to know about it. But, even with that information, what am I going to do with it? Am I going to stop watching Vlad? No. No, I won't stop watching. I won't stop watching. Look, if any of you are watching Vlad, remember that the vast majority of his audience is white. He has another show called Vlad Stocks where he teaches stocks. Look, and he's pretty effective. He's pretty effective. So they dropping the knowledge. They have, everything that you need to succeed is actually on this channel. It's actually on this channel and it gives it to you free of charge. But you guys hate so much, you won't even watch them. The information's right there. The information is right there. So, Vlad, I just saw something in this. I saw something in this. If Vlad ever hears this, man, I don't know where your intentions are at. You really need to check yourself on this. Where are your intentions? What were your intentions with this? What are your intentions? Make sure they're right. Make sure they're right. And that's the record of that. I should have to say no more than that. Because if I have to put some judgment on that, it looked fishy. It really looked fishy. So that's directed at you, Vlad. But anybody else get a chance, look, but don't definitely check this guy's page out, especially that Grant Cardone interview. He broke it down. Now go watch before they take it down. Because look, this one they take it down. They're not going to treat this like Lil Boosie. They'll play him all day. But this is the one you need to watch. So I'll leave it at that, and good day.